Hey guys, it's ViewMasters Reactions, and we're back with the promo for Rick and Morty Season 6, Episode 9. We have this coming up episode, and then one more, and we're done already with Season 6. We got 6 episodes, then a mid-season break, which lasted, in my mind, like less than a month. I even missed the premiere of Episode 7. I was 3-4 days late to the game. That's why Episode 7 came out today when Episode 8 was dropping. I released it in the morning. I got the promo and everything out 3 or 4 days ago. I watched it, I believe, the night before Thanksgiving. And then I had Thanksgiving and everything else. By the time I caught up, I was already a half a week behind. So this is coming out right after it aired. You get the promo first, then the after credit scene, and then the episode. I just do it in that order because it's way quicker to get these out, and I want to get content out before it hits midnight so people know that I actually am watching it. Because last week, you didn't see anything. Therefore, you were like, Jay must have completely forgot. This way, you'll at least know I'm on the ball and I did watch the episode. Either way, what we saw in the last episode was Rick basically talking to the therapist, making a deal with her that he'd sit back and let things just happen, wouldn't instigate or involve himself with all these different fights. He's fighting all these 90s bizarre villains. Calypso in the beginning, he sucks him dry of all his life, and he is literally floating dead in a little, like, floating container, kind of like Krang from Ninja Turtles. The therapist is like, is that dude dead? And he's like, it depends. Is there confidentiality? She's like, not with the murder. He's like, well, then he's completely fine. So that happened all episode. There were all sorts of Green Bean Man and, I don't know, some kind of guy with whips. It looked like Whiplash from Iron Man. They were referencing all sorts of craziness. We had the Riddler Hitler. Then there was the Bug Hitler. There were all sorts throughout the entire episode. But in the end, we end up seeing that Pissman offed himself. Rick tried to save him and instead took his place so he could be a hero. They mimicked The Dark Knight Rises, or what is it? The Rise of the Dark Knight, whatever the third Batman movie was with Bane that Christian Bale was in. They were definitely mimicking that when he grabbed the bomb and he took off. That was the end scene. Batman sacrifices himself, or does he? I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but the movie's like 10 years old already at this point. You must know, and if you don't, you don't probably care. But that was what it was referencing. He rides away on Jerry, and then he is able to basically keep everyone happy and save face. And then what does he do? He goes, Morty, I got to tell you something. I took Pissmaster's place and he offed himself and I have this letter. And then Morty's like, dude, if you didn't want anyone to know, you would have destroyed the letter. The fact that you didn't destroy the letter means that you wanted the attention. You wanted it to be known. Whatever it is, Rick, I guess, failed. And let's just jump into this. The after credit scene was the council, almost like the Jedi Council, but also real life, the Senate or some sort of political thing. They were also making fun of social media where everyone just runs to whatever's popular. And the second you're not, it's cancel culture or they just don't care anymore. So let's see what we got next. And then we'll talk. You guys want to see more of what I do, full unedited episodes, all the shows on the channel, seasons out of what you're seeing, hundreds of exclusives you only see on Patreon. The link is at the end. Dozens of shows you'll never see on YouTube. I just don't have time to edit it all. Doctor Who, Person of Interest, these in full as soon as I'm done. We started Steven Universe, Centaur World, My Little Pony, dozens of shows. We're starting The Last of Us and Vox Machina Season 2 in January as soon as it starts. I think it's the second week. Check it out. If not, promo for Season 6, Episode 9, Rick and Morty.
On the next all-new episode of Rick and Morty...
Are those potatoes?
I choose this moment to surrender my sword so that you may
this the
succeed me as the newest Knight of the Sun.
What? Morty, don't take the sword.
Don't
you know these guys?
take the
I know
sword.
how they're dressed and how boring
What is
this
he
sounds.
eating?
You take that sword, you're gonna get sucked into a whole complicated... Oh!
I mean, if that
What
kid's
was he
not gonna
eating?
take the
He
sword.
didn't offer it to you. Well, what does the Knight of the Sun do?
He takes the sword, for one thing.
On the next all-new episode of Rick and Morty...
Next episode.
I choose this moment to surrender my sword so that you may succeed me as the newest Knight of the Sun.
What?
Knight
Morty,
of
don't
the
take
Sun.
the sword. You know these guys? I know how they're dressed and how boring this sounds. You take that sword, you're gonna get sucked into a whole complicated... Oh!
Yeah, you don't want to take the sword. You're going to get
I mean, if
stuck
that
into
kid's
some
not gonna take the
convoluted...
sword.
He didn't offer it
What
to
is
you.
this line?
What does the Knight of the Sun do?
He takes the sword, for one thing.
All new Rick and Morty.
All right, guys, that is the promo for episode 9 that is coming up. After that, we have one more. That has to be the episode, A Rick and King Mortur'S Mort. That was one of the episodes we saw coming up. I did say in the other promos how all of the episodes on IMDb were out of order. I almost feel like it was intentionally done so you didn't know what was coming up when. They show us the promos, but they don't tell us what the episode is. From that promo, you could tell it's in the Crusades. It's like medieval times. A kid in King Arthur's court. It is a Rick in King Mortur'S Mort. The last episode has to be the National Lampoon's episode. I remember early on, I saw there is a National Lampoon's episode. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a Rick and Morty play on words. That's the only one left that hasn't happened. So being as we saw the Crusades, I got to assume that's this. What was this line? There was this giant line forming. And in that line, I'm assuming Morty and Rick were waiting, and then these Crusade guys popped up and go, "You're the chosen one. Be the chosen one of the sun, or the king of the sun," or something with the sun. And the hilt on the sword had a sun on it. I specifically saw it the second time around when he pulled it out of the sheath. You could clearly see there is a sun. He's kneeling down. What do I do? Well, you're supposed to take the sword. But Rick is like, if you take the sword, you're going to go down this whole adventure. Now, maybe you want to, or maybe you're looking for an adventure, but I feel like Rick and Morty have plenty of adventures. All this is going to do is probably just waste time and do things maybe that we don't really want to do or get involved with. Rick is telling him not to do it, and Rick is eating some sort of live alien organism, and one of them jumps away. Rick dips. I mean, it looks like Morty's probably going to take the sword. King Mortur'S Mort. Rick is going to be in Morty's world, basically, is what I'm reading in that title. Now, it could just be a play on words, and that was the best way it worked out. I feel like if they want this season to go anywhere specific, they're going to have to work on it in the next episode. I can't imagine they would have some filler episode next week and then have everything come together in the final episode when they're only about 20 to 22 minutes long. If you count out commercials and stuff, they're pretty short and they're never extended. I don't recall any of the finales being any longer than normal episodes. So hopefully they wrap it up good. We'll see next week where we're going into the finale. You guys want to see more of what I do? Full unedited episodes, all the shows on the channel, seasons ahead of what you're seeing, hundreds of exclusives you only see on Patreon. The link is in front of me. Dozens of shows you'll never see on YouTube, but I just don't have time to edit it all. Doctor Who, Person of Interest, these in full as soon as they're done. We just started Steven Universe, Centaur World, Eureka, Toriko, and Glitter Force, all way ahead of what you're seeing on YouTube. Check out the link. If not, comments down below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.